Hello everyone and welcome here to the Excellency broadcast, but tonight it's no Excellency action, it's something greater, something beyond. It is AOE randoms. They are here in the Cup OQs, they're open qualifiers, and in round 1, the round of 32, they're up against Homeless Prodigies, and we're straight into picks and bans, not too much time for introductions, my good friend, as Rumble is already on the cards here for HP.
Yeah, Homeless Prodigy is going to go right ahead and snap up that very, very powerful Rumble here. The answer hovered here is the Diana, and that will be the answer coming in from Josie. That's an interesting one. Haven't seen a whole lot of Diana jungle, so I don't know exactly how they should interact, but has been very strong. It is something that Josie is comfortable on, and of course gives him a lot of engaged potential along with this Jinx. Oh, I gotta say, Necrox, I'm really, really surprised that they left the Jinx up here. I know you're getting excited about this Jinx, but this is a specialty of Short Hop. This was banned away from him the entirety of their semifinal series in the UPL by Revival, and Homeless Prodigies have just left it up for him, and yeah, of course, he's just snapped it up.
I mean, there's no surprise that I get excited about Jinx, Jinx gets excited about Jinx, and anyone watching tonight would be excited to watch Short Hop pilot this carry against a Rumble Elise, and it can be a little bit awkward having to maneuver your space properly, but with the confidence that I have on Short Hop, it should be no problem. Varus would be a good answer. It is a very lane-dominant champion, something you could use to shut down Jinx in the early game. Homeless Prodigies have picked up the Lee Sin. There's a lot of question marks about their draft. There's no idea from AOE where this Rumble is headed, where Lee Sin is headed. Varus, of course, is not all too flexible, but even then, his build is flexible. He can go the on-hit build, can build a Kraken Slayer if they pick a little bit more frontline oriented, or just go for the poke, the Dusk Blade, the Prowler's Claw, whatever it may be, and just fire from long range. To answer that range, you need engage, and randoms understand that. They hover and lock in the Nocturne. Love to see it here. Great adaptation.
Yeah, the Nocturne will be very, very nice into the Varus. As you were mentioning, Necrox, Jinx does kind of hate the Varus matchup. She doesn't really like laning into things that can safely outrange her on a consistent basis. Varus is one of those champions. So do like the lock-in here from Homeless Prodigies for their 80 carry Jaeger. However, this is another one here. Nocturne in the hands of Josie. I believe this, this could be the top laner, of course. We could see a Diana mid. There's a lot you could still do with this, but Josie loves playing Nocturne. This was also banned away a lot in that UPL series from Pulp, so we haven't seen it a whole lot, but we'll have to see where AOE randoms do want to put it. Not sure how much Chim has been playing it as of late, so we'll have to see if he does feel comfortable with that sort of flex there in the top jungle and where this Diana does end up. But bans coming in across the board, of course, with 280 carries selected and no supports. Necrox, no surprise that we see 3 taken off the table already.
Gwen is going to be the last ban here, almost certainly. It is a newer champion, not too many strategies built up to counter it, and Leona is actually picked here for randoms. They want the hard engage, they want to go straight forward, and with the composition they built for themselves so far, AOE randoms feel comfortable in that footing. Now Homeless Prodigies, with the last 2 selections, have to determine where they want to head. Do they want to kite back, or do they want to match that brute force that AOE randoms have brought to the table? And DJ, coming into tonight, it's really something that it remains a big question for AOE. I mean, they've solidified 2 rosters to send into the open qualifiers, and of course you can always go check out AOE on their channel and how their team is headed. But AOE randoms, really, there's so many stars on this team that it's almost hard to pinpoint where you want to put that pressure, where you want to give the resources to. You could always go to Short Hop in the bot lane. If you get an assassin in mid, you could always go there. Fighter Bruiser in top lane could be an option as well. But the jungle is really where things lie for AOE randoms, in my opinion. And I know we talked about it before we came on air. And with the last couple selections here, it has been a pretty beefy duo in Galio and Ornn for Homeless Prodigies, and AOE randoms thinking about their flex potential for the Diana and the Nocturne. Gnar hovered for top lane. Do we get a lock-in? Could be Vladimir as well. Last few seconds, have to make up your minds. It is the Silas that will be confirmed to round out draft for game 1.
Okay, so I do like the Silas in here, likely going to be locked in for Chim in the top lane. We see the Diana in mid in the hands of Leo99. That is his favorite champion. Will be comfort for him today. So not surprised that that does come through. Silas, of course, going to be very good in Orin. Pretty free lane there for that champion. Can steal away the very powerful ult. So I like what Chim has done here. Going to provide a bit of a pseudo front line for a team that really does want to go in, right? Yes, Jinx is someone that typically kind of wants to play at a little longer range, but once you get a reset, right, you can just go nuts in the fights. You can really see what Randoms wants to do with this composition. They want Diana to dive in. They want Nocturne to dive in, get this engage started. Silas can follow up over the top with that stolen Orin ulti, and then there is the Jinx Rocket and Leona ulti. You pile all that on, you get Jinx a reset, and all of a sudden, you have your new AD carry here, Short Hop, just going to town on the enemy composition that does have some team fighting tools of its own, but maybe not quite the same when you do have a Lee Sin in the jungle. It does become a little trickier to navigate those fights unless you get everything perfect and you get your Dragon's Rage kick correct. So I do really like what Randoms have done in this comp. There are some disengage options for Homeless Prodigies, but overall, I think it's going to be much more incumbent on them in this early to mid game to get advantages, because when you set up a Rumble and a Lee Sin, no matter how much you are in a believer, how much of a believer you are in the Freak Science on Twitter there, obviously Freak followers here on the Homeless Prodigies team, that is a duo that will fall off the later the game goes on.
For sure. And I mean, no matter where you put it, it's always going to reveal the same kind of statistics. I love the call out. And as we get ready for client select, we do have a couple questions that do need to be answered. Of course, AOE randoms have drafted some flexibility between the positions. You have a good idea about where things are headed, but of course, there's always flexibility. I expect Diana to be going into the jungle, Nocturne going mid, and Silas top. But of course, there's always options to put them wherever you like. Homeless Prodigies, though, don't have that sort of flexibility. Rumble is basically locked into the jungle. Lee Sin, solo lane. Play into it, and the rest of the lineup, well, it's just not any flexibility left to it. So with our client select now begun up, DJ, the questions have to come through. My biggest one to you is the jungle matchup here. Josie, assuming you take the Diana in the jungle into that Rumble, the early skirmishing, very, very powerful for both these champions, but it's all going to be about priority in the lanes. And top Crab, that has been a graveyard for junglers past, and I don't expect any different come this first Top Crab.
Yeah, Top Crab, the value's been a little inflated here during MSI for sure. Clearly is the most important objective on the map. And it's sort of a tongue-in-cheek joke considering how important it is for early jungle clear, as we actually do see the Diana locked in there in the jungle. I'm a little surprised about that here for Josie. Again, it is a favorite of Leo99 there in mid lane, in for Comp 9 tonight. For the substitute. So I'm a little surprised they're not going to hand him the comfort on his favorite champion. But will just be that Diana. The Nocturne will go mid against this Lee Sin. Should be a pretty nice matchup to try to push back against the wave clear that comes through. And yeah, they'll also flex that. Like you said, it will end up being mellow in mid lane with this Lee Sin. We typically see a little bit more top. They opt for the Ornn instead. Still will accomplish similar things, but yeah, this duo, it's not going to be any different. Jungle mid jungle. They're going to do the same kind of things. They're going to try and blow you up in the early game. They're going to try to out-skirmish you around objectives, and then it will get a little trickier for them later on. While Random's composition, yes, it will be Josie piloting Diana, it will be Leo on Nocturne, but the same things also do apply here. They're going to press their R buttons, they're going to jump in on top of you, and they're going to make your life very, very hard if you are Jaeger 1. So a lot of responsibility going to be on Light Pulse to disengage. But really, the trigger buttons here for AOE randoms, so easy in this engage, and so many options over the top. I think it's going to be very, very hard if they are on even footing in 5v5s for Homeless Prodigies to hold off this engage.
And I like that you mentioned Jaeger 1, because to me, this is a big part of the team. In the early game skirmishes, of course you want the Rumble, of course you want the Lee Sin. They basically can't lose any 2v2, or at least pre-6, with their ultimates up. Post 6 as well, extremely powerful. Jaeger 1, though, come late game, is going to be incredibly important, especially if we're getting the on-hit build. Yet to know if that is the case. Of course, we'll get there, that information as we get onto the Rift. But if you're going on hit, trying to go melee range into champions like Diana and to a Nocturne and Silas, Chim, Josie, and Leo, all on those champions in particular, are incredibly powerful. They're not going to miss a beat on their engage. They're not going to whiff their CC, and pockets in the back as well, coming over the top with a solar flare. There's so much threat here from AOE random, so Jaeger 1 really going to have to hit a tightrope here if he wants to be able to execute on a more DPS-oriented Varus build. A few minutes left in spectator delay. If you had to keep your eyes on one role, on one matchup in particular where Cup could get their eyes set for future rounds or even just game one, where would you say that star-studded matchup lies tonight?
Yeah, I want to look early here at this jungle matchup. I do think that Josie, a very, very strong player for this AOE randoms roster, they like to try to be proactive. You know, they like to use the shot calling of Pocus from the bottom lane to try to go into the enemy jungle, try to get some skirmishes, vision down, and a lot of that does come through Josie. And they've picked him a matchup that, you know, we don't see a lot of. Diana's not going to clear as quickly as Parry One's Rumble will. So he's going to have to be clever with his ganking paths. He's going to have to be clever with his pathing around his jungle to stay on even footing, get to that level 6 mark where they can just hit this easy all-in engage. So for me, a lot of the triggers for this AOE randoms team will be coming from Josie, and of course, his supporting cast when Pocus can roam up and help him out. That's where I'll be looking to set the tone of this game, probably around the level 6 mark, of course, Necrox.
My eyes on the top crab and on the jungle, as always, for AOE randoms. Humbless Prodigies certainly have their work cut out for them to be able to kite away, get back, and then take the fight on their own footing. And with stage number 1, AOE randoms and Humbless Prodigies certainly have themselves to prove. We'll be right back after spectator delay is ticked down and we are on to the Rift. We'll be right back after a quick break. Hello everyone and welcome here to the Cup Open qualifiers. In the round of 32, DJ and I are prepared to bring you the action between Homeless Prodigies and AOE randoms. Straight out onto the Rift, geared up and ready to go. DJ, quick predictions for this series, for the game. I gotta say, my heart lies with AOE randoms. I think they've drafted correctly for this one. I think naturally they have star-studded lineup that could really bring it to Homeless Prodigies and get a quick start to these OQs.
Yeah, I would tend to agree with you, Necrox. Of course, we do, have Cup to thank for some early potential rankings that we can base ourselves off. We do have AOE randoms in the 13th spot. Homeless Prodigies coming in 20. Of course, will be some up and down, give and take, depending on who you are in the scene as we do come into the tournament. But that is what this Proving Ground circuit is all about, right? Proving that you belong here, whether you are with an org or not. So we'll have to see how Homeless Prodigies can step up to AOE randoms, which I do think is a team, that at 13th has plenty of potential to be upsetting teams above them with the lineup they have assembled. They have their first chance to show what they can do here tonight up against Homeless Prodigies as trading does get started on hard game one. And you can hear the excitement, of course. Game one of Proving Ground Summer happening right now across the board.
I love to see it. Honestly, it brings joy to my heart to see these players get their chances to shine again and really prove themselves amongst a crowd that is razor sharp in terms of competition. And especially for AOE randoms, this is a completely new and invigorated lineup. Trade in mid, Leo99, the sub mid laner here, at least not of the starting roster. He's getting chunked down, has to be careful. He's gonna get first blooded, and that is what lane Lee Sin can do. Solo kill for Meslo.
Yeah, he just walks up and autos him a bunch of times there, Necrox. Leo not quite knowing the matchup. I think usually Nocturne is the lane bully in the early game. When you have Conquer proc, when you have that fear off of the tether, you can win almost every matchup in the lane in the early levels, but Lee Sin is not one of those champions. You really don't win those if you don't play it perfectly. He gets another good trade out, but you can just keep doing this. You keep shielding up, you keep sustaining up. Melo might have gone a little too far though.
Ooh, that's a return for Leo99. Double TP in, and the Nocturne with just some pots somehow wins the trade. Enough distance on that one to get 2 fears in. That's massive. Now engage to the bot side. Pockets with an Ice Zenith Blade. The taunt is channeled in return, but Light Pulse did not find anything, and there's the flash stun. Short Hop off to a quick start as well. Pockets and Short Hop make light work of HP's bot laner.
And that was just beautifully played there by Pocus and Short Hop. The positioning was brilliant. Watching Short Hop throughout UPL, one of his best traits is his positioning, and you could see it in full force there, Necrox, waiting for that stun to come in, doesn't commit himself knowing that the taunt is up. He just walks back, waits for it to go down, and then with the stuns, with the slows, they kite him out, but mid lane, holy cow, mid lane!
2v2 gonna go in, but the spell shield doesn't do anything for Leo, and here comes Pockets arriving again. Meslo's gonna drop on over, but Perry's being run down. Spittle the flames you want, but you're soon to fall to the grave. Here comes the taunt. Perry barely able to stay alive for now. Maybe I spoke too soon. A nice roam from Light Pulse keeps his teammate alive. And a bloodbath so far here in round 1, DJ. These teams going at it.
Yeah, apparently everyone was about as excited as I was to get this circuit started in the summer here, Necrox, because they are not waiting around. There is blood in the water, and everyone on the Rift wants more. Mela with the first blood that immediately gets killed. We've had 2v2s already, and it's barely Perry walking away with his life after Pocus uses his priority from that bottom lane 2v2 kill to wander up here. But now under the turret, can Melo get out?
Oh.
The Triumph!
Whoa, no way. Minions? He lives? Meslo just absolutely demolishes Leo under his turret, takes a couple shots, and waves Leo goodbye. 1 in 3 on the Nocturne mid. Leo not finding great success on this pick, but on the other end, Meslo is just crazy on this Lee Sin. This is why you pick the champion, the aggression in the laning phase and how it spills over into mid-game teamfights, CJ. We're only 5.5 minutes in. We've got more than a kill a minute.
Yeah, this is pretty insane tempo. The fact that all 3 deaths here are on Leo, there is a clear effort from Homeless Prodigies to abuse him, and they're looking for it potentially again as it's Light Pulse backing in the bush, but decides not to go for it as Yeah, they weren't sure where Josie and Pocus were out of vision. They are on the Drake, by the way. Pocus going to clear out some of this vision with the recall channeled from Light Pulse, I think, on tempo. This is just going to go over to AOE random. So the first real macro play we see in the game after it's been me fight pretty much from the go button.
And this is where Pocus can thrive when he gets a little bit of time, gets a little bit of space here to get the shot calling in for AOE randoms. Good call on tempo there, knowing they can secure first Drake. Both mid laners didn't have the TP available, but if you will, it's a recall for Leo, a quick one with the early timer on the death, so ended up getting back a little bit sooner than Meslo. So good first Dragon secure. Ocean will provide a little bit of sustain into these lanes, and with how much fighting goes on, every bit of sustain matters. Fear under the turret. Leo takes one turret shot on the way out. Pocus trying to arrive, looking to support his mid laner, but nothing to be found this time.
Yep, Pocus only level 3 there. Doesn't really have the ability to go in on Mela, who is level 6 already. Does still have a ton of sustain and shielding with that Lee Sin kit in the early game. Hasn't quite based to pick up, a real component of an item just yet. Going for some more early game here with the additional long swords for some of these solo kills that he has picked up on Leo. Now dashing away from that Nocturne that we just mentioned, who has also ticked his level 6. But again, not necessarily the classic Nocturne mid that we know that gets priority in every lane, pretty much guaranteed. The Lee Sin is not a champion you get free prio against to roam and use that paranoia. He's going to have to pick his spots here, Leo, to try to help his team. But it's Josie who's trying to help him.
There's one more attempt in the mid lane. The paranoia and the moonfall. Goodbye, Meslo. There's no way away. A ticket straight back to the fountain.
Yeah, big time stuff from Josie. Nice pathing there as well. And here comes the invade into the jungle. We're going to have a big skirmish here as Perry's being forced out by Pocus. Light Pulse is hanging around, but just nothing he can do. Instead, he's going to clear out that mid wave while we have trading in top, and everything will kind of reset there. But look at the wards that have been left inside of the Homeless Prodigies jungle. There's 2 in bot, there's 1 in top side. Perry's actually walking over it now, so Chim knows that he's coming for this trap. He's headed towards that Rift Herald, I believe, and is going to get it started. Josie kind of in the area. We'll see if AOE Randoms decides to contest this. Nope, looks like they are just content to give this one away after they take the opening drink.
All right, well, no need to overextend yourself, I guess. Don't push for something that you don't know that you can get. Regardless, though, Homeless Prodigies looking to secure first Herald, grab themselves a little bit of cash in the back pocket. Perry waiting to use that one, has plenty of time to drop it down while plating is still active. The biggest question is, where do you want to push? My opinion, you're going mid lane. Meslo has been great on this Lee Sin. Open up the map, can really provide you vision control, can provide you roams mid and top, bot and top, and then start to pressure Josie as well on this 2-0 Diana. Sitting on that Dark Seal already. Certainly someone you need to get under fire. If he can just continue to farm up, continue to be this threat, Josie can really begin to put on those DPS numbers. That pressure in the fights is Chim crashes this wave under turret. Will look to channel his recall. Still has TP available along with Porsche. It's been a slow top side so far. Drake up in about 90 seconds, so I expect a full-on skirmish as everyone's headed down here and both tops have TP. Meanwhile, Lelo's getting himself into a skirmish. Flash away from Light Pulse, but here comes Bacchus once again. Flash over the wall, it's just a ward out from Meslo. Now double TPs are arriving. No. Forces arrive, but immediately having to flash himself away. Ornhorn is stolen away, both going at the same time. The channels are going to go through. Chim is going to be burned down to a couple blighted procs. So much damage onto him so far. Now the paranoia onto the back line by Riven on the valuable carries. Leo's going to fall, but the bloodbath commences. Make it 2 for 1. AOE randoms take a win in the jungle.
Yeah, they just get outnumbered over time, Necrox. The TPs come in, but there's only one member from bottom lane that can help, and that is Jaeger. Yes, Leo is low. Yes, he goes down, but Melo had already been chased out to the mid lane, so had Porsche falling there in the skirmish to Chim. So eventually, the numbers just too much for Homeless Prodigies, and Josie held on to his ulti the whole time, and now, oh boy, Perry might be punished here for the overstay. TP's in from Leo. Can they get away?
Nice kick from Meslo to peel away, but flash forward from Josie. The auto attack isn't enough. Having to hop himself back away. Meslo barely keeping Perry alive, barely keeping himself alive. had the flash if needed. Homeless Prodigies push as far as they can and barely escape from the threat of Josie's Diana. Meanwhile, Dragon's still available. Still had not spawned DJ. We were fighting just for the priority. Now we get a fight for the actual Drake itself.
Yep, that Drake is be coming up very shortly. You can see the prep work already being done by Homeless Prodigies. They have multiple members in the river at the moment. Melo roaming over here, and it looks like they are primed to take this one away. I don't think there is a response as the game has been very briefly paused there. That was a quickie. But yeah, this Drake is going to go over to the likes of Homeless Prodigies. Will even out the Drake count, and a whole lot AOE can do about it. I do like this play on tempo for Perry. Knows the Diana flash is gone, the ult's down. She had to recall, so Josie not there to contest, and uses that quick clear, uses that quick take on the Drake to even out the count as we get an Infernal Rift here for game number 1.
Infernal Rift, so much damage, and if you didn't think AoE randoms or Homeless Prodigies had enough damage, well, they've got even more to fight over now on Summoner's Rift. 12 minutes now, 10 kills on the board, 2 Drakes secured, and 20 to 20k, just about a slight lead for AoE randoms, but nothing to be worried about if you're Homeless Prodigies. You certainly still have the tools to find yourself back into this game, and with the Hail of Blades for Jaeger 1 on this Varus, I thought maybe we'd get some poke, but regardless, we're getting the on-hit build, and well, Perry's just destroyed. Now the Galio ulti, but for what reason? Your teammate was dead all the same, and the paranoia is gonna kill him now. 1 HP left on it, but there's no super mega death. We're gonna chase down the kill. Pockus is low. Meslo goes in, looking for the outplay, but just outplays himself. Dies, makes it a 2-0.
Yeah, that was a strange turn there from Meslo. I mean, at best you get 1 there, perhaps thinking he wasn't going to get away. I'm not sure if he got tagged by a zap on his way out and recognized that he had to turn around, but it didn't look like it to my eyes. I would have to see the replay on that one. Either way, can't get it done, and yeah, it's just once again randoms collapsing on a play with more members at Homeless Prodigies. They cannot escape without casualties, and now Josie gonna go counter jungling a little bit, takes away the enemy red buff, and he might have an alleyway onto Jaeger here. I don't think Jaeger knows he still has ulti. I think this is a dead Varus.
Yeah, no ulti, no flash. You can try to get an execution at best, but Josie is here looking for the 1v1, but that's not even going to be close. Gale Force for the assist, and now Short Hop is excited. Will be able to push down the lane, probably get this entire turret, unless there's an immense amount of rotations to come through to protect it. But instead, Homeless Prodigy simply want to trade it away, but can they even get a trade? The answer is absolutely not. The hijacked ulti from Chim makes it impossible, and Perry burns down to his own equalizer as AoE randoms win in bot and in mid simultaneously.
That was just straight up disrespectful there, Necrox. I mean, Homeless Prodigies knew about those rotations. They knew that the support was not in bottom lane. They'd already seen 2 members there. Pocus was not one of them. And the comm should have been in from TC Portion top lane that Chim was roaming. There's no way you had the numbers to win that skirmish. You push all the way up to the enemy turret and you get absolutely deleted for it. You know, I think some of these plays for randoms are just not considering all the variables. They're not expecting the members of AoE randoms to collapse upon them, and they're not accounting for the fact that they're just down bodies, and there's just no way to win skirmishes down bodies. So everything is coming up AoE randoms here in the late early to early mid game, and that is what they want. They're a proactive team. They want to get in your face. They want to skirmish. Pocus was telling me about it earlier, and a lot of those triggers are pulled by Josie, who, guess what? We had our eyes on him. Dude's 5-0-1 here on this Diana with almost as much CS as Perry, who should have the clear advantage. This has been a huge jungle game so far for Josie.
A better engage in the fight and a better pathing as well to make up for that time lost trying to skirmish. Josie is putting on a clinic, it feels like, right now in the jungle. Even on Dragons, did lose 1 Rift Herald, but has a 7-stack Darksteel, a Herald of his own now, and a stopwatch all available for this next fight. And what you can imagine is a minute. I'm not sure that AoE randoms would ever want to give this one up, considering how far ahead they are. in the state of play for now. Meslo trying to do his best to push down turret, needs to wait on one more wave, and it's a race now for 2-for-1 trade. Pockets and Short Hop are trying. There's the Varus ulti. Pockets might be a little caught out here, along with Short Hop flashing over the wall. Perry used the equalizer, trying to commit for the kill, but a snipe from downtown. Jaeger will claim one, but what does the re-engage look like? Now the Gale Force forward is just too much, and Pockets will fall, but it's traded back 1-for-1 for Perry. Now it's going to be a great bargain for AOE randoms. They get more than they bargained for, and Josie is dominating 6-0 on this Diana. It's a bloodbath, surely, as Meslo is trying to go back in once again. There's the kick on the Short Hop. He's going low, but oh no, Porsche couldn't send the Horn back to the return spot. An ace for AOE randoms at 16 minutes.
Yeah, that's another one there from Meslo. Very questionable engage as he goes in on top of Short Hop after Josie had already cleaned the clocks of 3 members on his team. Yeah, I mean, it doesn't even work out for him. But even if you take out Short Hop there, like, what are you going to do? Like, you're just going to die. They're still going to kill Porsche if he ultis because you can just stop him from hitting the ram back at you, which is exactly what happens. That was a highly questionable engage at best. And at best, it would have been a 1-for-2, still an ace, still a Drake. And AOE randoms just taking over the game again, largely here on the backs of Josie. Now Pocus, poor guy, he is up a creek without a paddle here.
Yeah, he's going to drop down. Easy pickup there for Jaeger 1, but no objectives on the board. Doesn't mean all too much, but the biggest takeaway I've seen so far from this game, DJ, is how proactive AOE randoms have been. Yes, they've been in control of the game ever since draft phase, it felt like, but all the same, Dragons, both time they wanted to fight over it, were not available until at least a minute out, and every single time they're in control of mid, they're in control of jungle. Homeless Prodigies seem to wander into them, and then randoms take the fight. Whether they win or lose, they're ready to duke it down at any moment's notice. Whenever they're ready to fight, they just commit and they make the call. That's largely, in fact, to Pockets' great ability to shot call and Josie being prepared and in the right spot at the right time. But AOE randoms have shown up in round 1 of these qualifiers with great success. Meslo with a nice insec. There goes Golden. Short Hop trying to keep himself alive for now. The Gale Force away as Josie's legendary. He's going to get the first kill of the fight. Now the equalizer's being channeled down. Perry's going to drop. Leo's getting his second kill for now. Double killing over to Josie. And this is a massacre. Light Pulse will drop. Everyone in Homeless Prodigies will drop. Porsche's the only man standing alive. But how long can you survive for? He's scared, running for his life. The chains from Chim just don't barely connect. Dashing away with the same recharge, but the flash follow for the ace. 5-0 fight for randoms, and Homeless Prodigies are wiped away.
Yeah, Short Hop gonna be typing in chat, baited boys, as he leads the entirety of Homeless Prodigies into an early grave. 3 members commit to him, pops the stopwatch and the Gale Force as Josie collapses upon the enemy composition, and they get wiped clean off the map, 20-6 in kill score. 5 turrets off the map here for AOE randoms and an 11k gold lead. Yeah, I think Short Hop might go down here at the end of the play, but oh, and you're even going to expend an ulti. Then why?
Light Pulse. He wanted the assist. He needed something just to even out the KDA. He's now 0-3-3, so got 1 assist off the back end of the ulti. Whether it was the wisest decision or not is still left up for debate. Meslo able to get 1 more as we run into a quick pause as Short Hop has to respawn. The shutdown was claimed by Meslo, but look at the shutdown still available on AOE randoms. 350, 700, and 300 without the initial kill gold. Those are massive, and that's Homeless Prodigies way back into the game. That is their avenue, getting these big influxes of cash, and Short Hop, excuse me, was the first step in that chain.
Yes, this is largely going to have to be the way back into this game for Homeless Prodigies. I'm keeping my eyes on what Jaeger's build is going to be here. He has the Hail of Blades. He's gone Kraken Slayer. It makes me think that he's running sort of the one-shot build that does come out sometimes, where you build Gnasher's Tooth as your second or third item to blow somebody up. But Either way, even if you get these gold shutdowns off of AoE, you're down 10k gold, nearly 10k gold here after that shutdown onto short hop. Josie is just monstrous. 9-0-6 here with 10 stacks already on the Medjai Soul Stealer. And you are on a team composition that drafted a Lee Sin mid and a Rumble jungle. Like, this is not looking good for you up against a Jinx Sylas. I gotta be honest, Necrox. They need to try to find ways to get picks, like you said, like we saw onto short hop, to get that gold in their pocket. If they can get to hyper late game and rely on Porsche's, or upgrades onto some of these items, they might be able to even out some of the differences. But it just seems so very far away, and now they're going in again.
Yeah, they're just going to pull the trigger at any moment's notice. Double kill already, make it 3-0. AOE randoms will just run down Homeless Prodigies and scatter them out of town. Now, Baron available, DJ. This is the freest purple worm you could ever ask for. AOE randoms have everyone on board ready to pick this one up. And well, as a clarifying statement for what I said earlier, the way back in was grabbing shutdowns, but it would require massive errors from randoms. It would require blunders to give up this gold, and they simply don't do it. They slap you with their wallets, and now with Baron, they look to grab maybe a dragon, even if at all. They could probably just push it down mid, dive under turrets, and end this one out in under 25 minutes.
Yeah, I mean, this game is fairly doomed, and if you are Homeless Prodigies, but if you are AoE randoms, everything coming together, from the draft plan. I mean, what more of a perfect engage could you want after drafting this composition? That's like the picture perfect engage for this composition. Pocus goes in with Leona, in comes Nocturne, in comes Diana. Everyone's just dead in an instant, and your Jinx gets a reset, blows up the rest of the competition. Like, that is exactly what you would have imagined when you drafted this up, when you designed this game plan, when you loaded onto Summoner's Rift, and it is coming true here for AOE randoms. Completely in control of this one. 13k gold up, one Drake away from that Infernal Soul, with Baron in their back pockets and looking to end game number 1.
Jaeger's gonna have to recall here. Yes, he gets a turret, a little bit more gold to spend, but AoE randoms aren't giving you any space to breathe. They're not giving you anywhere to stand. They're in your base, going golden now with Cham trying to keep himself alive from Deadly Equalizer across the team. But look at the 3-0 for randoms. They just wipe you away. There is no hesitancy in this team at all. You wanted to see a jungle matchup. You wanted to see Josie go crazy. 12-0-9, 25-page book. This man is the king of the jungle and the king of the rift. AOE randoms in 23 minutes will dismantle Homeless Prodigies in game 1.
What a start to proving grounds here for AOE, as an org, but particularly, obviously, AOE randoms here, as they will finish out their opening game in 23 minutes. An absolute stomp here. Such convincing fashion from the draft to the execution. I have to thank the randoms for making us sound very, very smart here on the cast, because before this game, we were hyping up Josie, we were hyping up short hop. These are the places to look. This is the Diana. We haven't seen it. How's he going to operate on it? We put your eyes to the perfect place, because Josie went absolutely nuts in this game, making gank after gank, keeping tempo with a jungler like Rumble that should have extra tempo, and setting up the team for so much success. Short hop, the beneficiary and cleanup crew for a lot of that success, dying only once all game and having a couple very highlight plays of his own, in particular the stopwatch that baited in the entire enemy composition. So beautiful stuff from them in game number 1, but of course the entire team contributing into what was an extremely well-designed game plan up against this Varus for Jaeger.
And a game plan that was executed to perfection. The game plan itself was good, but then the execution probably topped that of all. Chim was the only one really left on an island, keeping himself even against the Ornn. Everyone else was winning and doing their tasks. Josie winning the 2v2 in mid, Pocket's shot calling to perfection, getting Drakes on tempo, then roaming up mid, making plays there on Meslo, who was, to be fair, handing it to Leo a little bit earlier on. A couple trade kills back and forth there with the team arriving, but everyone doing their jobs to just perfection from AOE Random. And it gets me so excited to see where this team can go, because with performances like that, who knows how far this team can get, and AOE have built themselves what looks to be an amazing team headed into the later rounds. But we still have more action headed your way, and with an absolute banger of a game one, I'm sure it doesn't get any less exciting with the flexibility that randoms do bring, and Homos Prodigies need to bring this one back, but only time will tell. We'll be right back after a quick break and an interview provided none other than Cubby.
Top winner for AOE randoms, Ian, Chim, Pessoa, and I want to get right into kind of being a part of this roster. I know that you guys have been playing together already for quite a bit, including UPL. What are your expectations, though, going into this season of Proving Grounds?
Expectations. I mean, we're aiming to be the top amateur team for sure. But you know, we see the other rosters. We know there's some good solid rosters like Wildcard, A Team. You know, they have some Exacad, even Arrow, XLCS players there.
Mhm.
So there's some really stacked rosters. But I think that if we, as a five, can practice, kind of figure out our identity a bit better, and just work as a unit, I think we have really good potential. I think everyone on the team kind of meshes in terms of personality. And so we just got to kind of, find our identity, I think, and then we'll be, I think, a really solid team.
Yeah, I know, especially like you mentioned the personality mesh. I know that for you, Short Hop and Pocus, this is not the first roster that you've that core's been a part of. What's it been like sticking with them and having them be on your team for this yet again? What do they bring to the table that some people may not know watching you guys?
I mean, when you're watching a match, right, you don't really get to hear the comms. You don't really get to hear what goes into drafts. And I think, especially Pocus, but also Kyle, to a lesser degree, really, really smart about the game. Antoine Pocus, he's a coach, on the side, as well as being a player. So he has a really good game sense. He kind of thinks about the game in a really smart way, I feel like, and can kind of bring that to drafting, which you don't really see that, right? You see the drafts on the Twitch stream, right? But you don't really hear the thought process behind, oh, what should we ban here? What should we pick here? What are we aiming for? And like kind of bringing players into that as well, right? Like, the most ideal pro can be someone who plays everything, but when you're at an amateur academy level, many times that's not the case. So you kind of got to fit champion pools into the draft plan. And I think Antoine does a really good job of that, as well as Kyle. He has really good draft ideas a lot of the time, because he was also the captain of our collegiate team on Western. So he was a big voice there, and I think he also brings some of that leadership to the table.
I was looking for new ways to throw Lucian bot, right?
Yes,
the specialty for Short Hop. And
yeah,
actually kind of speaking on that collegiate experience as well, you've been a part of the roster recently. UWO, the most successful club team, I think unanimously, that we've had in collegiate, and a lot of those players actually now seeing success moving into amateur. I know that you guys took a little bit of an earlier exit than what you liked for C-Law, but I'm kind of curious what the teams left now that you get to look from the outside now looking in. Do you have any predictions for the top 8 of C-Law? Who do you think is going to be taking home that trophy?
Man, well, I mean, hopefully Bethany, right? If Bethany wins everything, then we can say we won to the eventual champions. But I mean, realistically, I always you have to consider Maryville, right? Like, they're by and far usually the best team, not just because of the talent they have in terms of players, but also their coaching staff. I think Zoo is one of, if not the best coach in collegiate. And that brings a lot to the table, right? Like I said, in terms of drafting, I think drafting is huge. I think majority of players that play at, a challenger level, they can match each other, right? Like, I think there's many times where you can see on like Twitch streams and stuff, like Hilo, amateur or academy players against LCS players, and they can hold their own. But the difference, I feel, a lot of the time is draft. I think if you have a strong draft, I think that's what gives you the edge. So Maryville, they have really good coaching staff, which allows them to draft well and play on their players' strengths and cover their weaknesses. So I'm looking probably for them to be first, if not, first or second. I think the other side of the bracket, ISU, I think is probably the strongest team.
Yeah.
I don't know if they're using Hyper anymore though, which is,
no, it's gluten-free Panda now. Yeah.
So I mean, I don't know too much about gluten-free Panda, but I mean, Hyper is the beast. He was on a previous roster with me and Short Hop and Pocus as well, and he's a monster, mechanical monster. I mean, he's TSM now, right? So losing him hurts a lot, I feel like, but maybe they can still bring it together with some crazy comps. Some, I know they were playing Seraphine bot and things like this, and some Bard in the bot lane. So if they get some crazy wild drafts, maybe they can come out on top. But I think Maryville's probably number one in my books.
All right. Well, Top Dog still being the favorites. I know before we wrap this up with the roster that AOE has drafted for you guys this split, do you have any shout outs or thank yous that you'd like to leave us with before we let you go?
Shout outs. I mean, shout out to my teammates. They're all great guys. I think they have a lot of good plays, good potential, good game sense, and I love playing with them. Shout out to, our previous Just Randoms roster, Captain Shrimps, Hyper, all those guys are doing great now. We miss them. We love them. We hope they do well. Shout out to Cindy. Cindy, she's a goat. She was a great manager, and she's doing great things now at Upsurge. And I think that's about it, and just shout out to all the fans, I guess, anyone that keeps watching, tuning in, because that's what makes the amateur and academy scene so hype is all the fan hype and people that tune in and support the team. So thank you guys.
And definitely looking to hype you guys up and your new roster. Part of the reason why we're doing this, AOE Randoms participating in Cup OQs, and best of luck to you guys in the OQs and improving your odds. Hope that you guys can put your best foot forward and we get to see a lot of you this split.
Thanks a lot, Covey.
All right. See ya.
Bye-bye.